Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Today. Every single day to start off our day over here, as well as to start off our journey on a daily basis that we do, where we bring you the latest happenings and analysis from the world of sport. What we tend to do is we'll catch up a little bit on certain things that may have been happening whilst you and I were catching up on some rest, some overnight things you may have missed out on, because whilst it's important that we get rest, the world of sport is such a thing, it doesn't really sleep. So without further ado, let's get down to it very quickly and start off with an absolute doozy in the news that Rohit Sharma and Kohli have potentially taken one step closer to making their comebacks in T20I cricket. Why do I say that? Because there are credible news reports which suggest that both of them have told the BCCI that yes, they are available for T20I selection, and that is despite the fact that they now haven't played T20I cricket for over a year. It does in many ways jive with messages that have come in the past. You've heard Rohit say that, the only reason we're not playing T20Is in 2023 is because of workload management and we want to play the World Cup. And despite that, there had been a consistent messaging coming that, this was a new team, you'd be going in a new direction, you had a new captain in Hardik Pandya, a new vice captain in Suryakumar Yadav. All of these things were being spoken about, but now that the injury to Hardik Pandya has come in, potentially you could very well be seeing Rohit and Kohli both make a comeback, because maybe there are certain sections who believe that having this kind of big game experience, players with so much experience, might help you. Wholly debatable thing, and we'll do a separate video talking about the pros and cons of this entire matter, let's say. But as of now, it does seem like it could happen, because again, don't forget, in about a week's time, you'll be having a T20I series. In fact, that will be the last T20I series that India play before the T20 World Cup, because after that, the Afghanistan series, that is, you've got a 5-test series against England, and you've got 2 months of the IPL. So it's going to be a hectic time in that regard for sure. But as far as internationals go, could be the last one, and you might very well see these two experienced campaigners back in the side for that series and then potentially for the T20 World Cup as well. Sticking with more cricket news, but this time focusing on the India-South Africa series that concluded yesterday. Rahul, who had played a key role in Centurion in that first test, an effort that India eventually ended up losing out, did say after the second test where India won that they perhaps weren't quite ready at Centurion, which is why they got caught out. He said very clearly while speaking to host broadcasters that maybe we were lacking that little bit of intensity and proper planning, because we didn't seem really ready. Come the second test, we were much better, but that does of course point to an age-old problem that the Indian team has, wherein in the first test of a Sena country, they more often than not tend to struggle. It doesn't happen very often that they'll go and win or get a good result in the first test. More often than not, they'll lose the first test, then end up coming back strong thereafter. But in a 2-test series, that was something you could not afford, but that's exactly what happened, and that's why the final frontier as such remains unconquered. But it's nice to hear some acknowledgement from the team saying that, look, we perhaps weren't there at our intense best. Maybe that's something that they'll resolve the next time they have an overseas tour in a Sena country, which of course, if you're going by the test calendar, will be when they go to Australia at the end of this year. That's going to be the big overseas Sena tour that they have. Can they reverse this trend? Something that remains to be seen. Another player who of course did play a key part in India winning that second test, Yashasvi Jaiswal, someone who was playing his first test in a Sena nation, his first test series in a Sena nation, that is, definitely did struggle early on, although there's nothing to suggest in his game that he's someone who'll struggle with the demands of test cricket. Does have a decent first-class record if you go over his Ranji Trophy records, but he did admit that it was a bit challenging, and there's a lot that he picked up on this tour. She said, treating it as a learning experience, there's a lot of things that I could have done, but there were a lot of things that I have learned that'll help me in the future. He also revealed a rather interesting tidbit about the advice he received from head coach Rahul. He's saying, Rahul's advice to me was really simple: bat freely and play with a smile. In a sense, it's a good thing to let a player as talented and hard-hitting as Jaiswal to be playing test cricket with an uncluttered mind, because again, he's someone who could have that impact right at the top of the innings, can take games away from the opposition, and it's not a comparison, but again, you've seen the likes of David Warner and Virender Sehwag have a very similar impact at the top of the order, wherein they play aggressively, get the game away from the opposition on a given day. Jaiswal does have that ability, needs to be backed. Let's not be too harsh on him. This was his first Sena test series, and of course there were always going to be struggles, but as he said, treating it as a learning experience, and the aim is to continue batting with a smile and batting freely. Rather, another bit of interesting news from, let's say, that test series, and you'd remember that when Kesha Maharaj came out to bat in the first innings of the second test, the song Ram Siya Ram was playing, and Kohli actually, caught the eye of many social media users when he was seen making a bow and arrow sign and also, jigging along to the song a little bit. And after the game, he even ended up giving Kesha Maharaj a signed jersey. Now, of course, the Indian teams did give a jersey signed by all members of the team to Dean Elgar, who would be retiring. But it seems like Kohli has gone out of the way to do this for Maharaj, and Maharaj is pretty appreciative, taking to Instagram and saying this one is one for the wall. Thanks a ton, whilst tagging Virat Kohli. Interesting gesture, and definitely shows that Kohli, despite the battle-hardened competitor that he is, off the field is someone who does or does not seem to have the same kind of intensity that he will have on the field. Relaxed character off the field, on the field, definitely one who's reared up to win every single time. But it's a fun gesture, and definitely a heartwarming one that received a lot of positive response from people on social media. Another bit of heartwarming news, one that will no doubt make your day just a little bit. David Warner has recovered his baggy green. Now, you remember that in the build-up to the third and final test, which is said to be Warner's last ever test match that he plays. He's going to be retiring after the series. He had taken to social media to announce that his backpack had gotten stolen, and that backpack had his baggy green cap. And he also put a very heartfelt plea saying, look, please return my baggy green. This is the only one you get, and I want to keep it as a special this thing because it means a lot to me. If you want the backpack, I have a spare, please keep that. The good news is he's now taken to his own social media and announced that, look, we've got the baggy green back, which is of course great news when you consider that the baggy green, that one cap is handed out to them, and that's pretty much it. That's the cap they're supposed to use. So it obviously is a keepsake for any player who's lucky enough to get it. And with Warner's career now coming to an end, you can understand why it is that he was so keen to ensure he got it back. Ending the news wrap with a little bit of news from the world beyond the world of cricket. And you'd remember that there were elections held for the Wrestling Federation of India, which saw Sanja Singh, a close ally of former President Brij Bhushan Sharad Singh, actually win the elections. But thereafter, it was declared null and void by the Sports Ministry, and an ad hoc committee was put in place to run it until further time or when fresh elections are held. However, Sanja Singh has now spoken out and said that we don't consider the suspension lawful, and we may even take it to court to challenge it. Given the fact that fresh elections being held was supposed to bring an end to all the drama that surrounded the sport of wrestling and its governing body, the fact that this could potentially go to court as well, definitely not a very good sign. But such is the nature of the beast when it comes to taking power in such federations. What happens next, we don't know, but you know where to go if you want further updates in it as and when they happen. It's of course over here at Sports Today, and that's it from this edition of the Night Wrap with us at Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go right ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well, and stay tuned, we have plenty more coming your way. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.